to Pursue the Pull, the podcast that is geared towards helping people who are looking for a career change, but also for those who want to pursue their dreams and start their own business. Now, how do we differ from all of the other inspirational podcasts out there? Well, what we do is we interview people from a range of different industries. So if you want to set up your own marketing agency or your own restaurant or your own yoga studio, whatever it might be, we have someone specific from that industry to tell you how to get started, the highs and lows, and most importantly, the truth. Now, we are one group, one community, and we have all of the answers. I am your host, Stacey Bevan, and today I have an amazing guest. So his name is Austin Okolo, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Gen Z Club, which is a platform on a mission to entertain, educate, and inspire as many people as possible. And he's also the owner of fashion brand Born to Stand Out London. Now, first of all, thank you for joining us, Austin. We're really excited about the insight that you're about to give us.
Oh, thank you for having me on an amazing introduction. I love the energy, so I'm really excited.
Thank you. Okay, so before we deep dive into the questions, I just want to give the audience a little bit of background in terms of what it is that you do and the services that you offer. So, as long as you can remember, you have always thought that you stood out and spoke differently and acted differently to others. Yet it was only recently that you learned to embrace your differences and what made you unique. Now, you are on a mission to help other people stand out through your premium fashion brand, Born to Stand Out London. Your passion to empower others has also led you to co-found another company called the Gen Z Club, which has brought together thousands of Gen Zs through motivating and engaging networking events. Now, since launching in August 2021, you have a reach of 500,000 Gen Z and have hosted over 20 events in 4 different cities, and have also helped leading corporations such as Barclays UK, Lloyds and Savills effectively target Gen Zs. Now, your achievements, there's a lot, but I'll just name a few. So you are an award-winning business owner, founder of British GQ featured fashion brand, Born to Stand Out London. You are CEO and founder of Elite Business Top 100 SME 2023, Business Gen Z Club, which is one of the largest Gen Z communities in the UK. It is also just been announced, and yes, I did find this out today, that you are named as the finalist for the Multicultural Business and Community Champion Awards. And this is now the second competition this year that you've been named as a finalist after your company, the Gen Z Club, was named finalist for the Lloyds Bank British Business Excellence Award. Now, look, this is incredible. I'm just going to go straight into the questions, if that's okay with you. All right, so tell me a little bit about your background. What was you doing before you got started and before you got into your own business, and how did this all start?
Yeah, so to be honest, growing up, I actually want to be a footballer.
Okay.
You know, knee injury. No, I'm joking. But so growing up, I wanted to just be a professional footballer. I didn't know entrepreneurship was actually a career path. I didn't know it was possible to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know that's something you can do. I came from a Nigerian household where I was go to school, get a good job, you know, lawyer, doctor, etc. So my mindset was more on either I was gonna make it a footballer or just get a good job working in the science industry. However, I always had entrepreneurial tendencies. So when I was 10 years old, first time I thought, let me make some money. So I wasn't those kids in school that were selling sweets. I had £1 million sweet shop in school, but I was selling little things here and there I get my hands on. So first item I saw was in year 7 to my friend Tom, football boots, for £10. And then when I realized that, I just gave him something, made money. And to me, back in £10 in school, when you're high school, is a lot of money because I can go to KFC, I get a lunch box, a snack box, McDonald's. So I'm thinking before, this is before inflation, the inflation I have right now, you can buy a lot with £10 back then. I was like, this is cool. I want to do that. I want to do more of this stuff. So as time went on, I was always into my fashion. So I used to always get the money I had, I'll go buy some designer, like some Ralph Lauren or whatnot. So I used to do that, but then I'll get bored of it. So I'll sell it to my friends. So I'll sell out all my kind of designer branded items to my friends for a bit of money. Then I ran out of items. I ran out of clothing to sell. So I thought my genius idea was I'll find somebody else's clothing, sell theirs, and take commission. That was my idea. So I thought, cool. I reached out to my friends. I was like, do you have any clothes that you want to sell? Because I was gonna say for example, they sold it for £20, I was sold it for 30, keep £10, give them 20. That idea didn't really work. I think I sold like 2 items. Funny story, the first time I sold the item was a hat. I went to, I'm from Hayes, West London, so an area in West London called Hayes. I went to sell the hat for my friends. I meet the person to buy it. I think it was about for like £10. There was kind of stains. You know when you wear a hat for too many years and you get the little brown marks around it. He was like, I'm not buying this hat. Like I tried to convince him. He was like, no, like I just can't let it sustain, etc. So that didn't work. So that was my first customer. Failed. My second customer, I actually sold it for my friends. My friend was a bit older than me. So he was just like, I'm not gonna pay the money. So those like kind of like my failed kind of venture when I was like in high school. But I kept going. I really enjoyed it. So when I got to around year 11, I I had a friend who had Instagram, of course, and he posted pictures of him wearing like this t-shirt, which I've never seen before. It was like Lemon Nemo's t-shirt. And now I asked him, what is that? I've never seen that brand before. What is that? He goes, it's my own brand. I was like, what? You, no way. You haven't got your own brand. He was like, I do. Like I went to the shop, I went to the printing agent, I printed it on. I was like, that sounds cool, but it sounded very, very long and a lot of effort. So I thought, that sounds cool, but I don't think I've got, not that I've got time, I was 16, but I just thought I can't be asking in that moment in time. So, but as time went on, I always had the back of my mind. And I feel like the type of person I am, I'm always big on just trying things, having fun. I'll just, just enjoy things, see the experience. So it was in my mind. And then when I got to about year 13, I thought, you know what, like, let me just start it. Let me just go for it. So I literally went onto the internet. I said to myself, if I wanted to do a business, a brand, I want to mean something. I saw there was a lot of designers out there, your Ralph Lauren, your Gucci, Louis Vuittons. There was no meaning behind it. I thought if I was going to do a brand, I want to have a meaning behind it. So I thought of the name Born to Stand Out, which links to how I felt at the time, in sense that only recently been discovered later on that I actually have 2 learning disabilities. But at the time, I just knew that I was different. I don't know why. I just thought I was naturally different. But obviously now I've got a bit more understanding. But so I thought, that's how I feel. Like I stand out, and I think it's a good thing. Let me help other people embrace that. So I launched to my friends, sold out in about 2 weeks. Restocked again to my friends in school, sold out again in school, and then the rest is kind of history. So I don't know how deep in you want me to go in that story, but that's how kind of my brand started, and then everything else kind of came from there. That's how my entrepreneurship journey started, and then just took one step came
Did
from
you
the
ever
other.
during that time, did you ever go to work and have a normal job, or did you just go straight into entrepreneurship?
So my dad last year, we laugh about this a lot. About this, how I never actually. I think I did. So I had like an
Oh,
agency job. I don't know if you're also aware of agency work, but it's essentially when you
yeah,
get like a 0-hour contract. So I did that. I
yeah.
did about 6 shifts. So I don't think I said it before, but I did about 6 shifts for agency. I think they were called Compass, and I remember my dad always tells a story about how like he saw me one time going to work, driving to work in my car, and he was going for a walk, or whatever. And he asked me, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to work. And he was just so happy saying, you're finally working, you got a job. Because not even necessarily for the money, but he wanted me to get a job. He thought it would be a good experience. And he
Yeah.
always said, like, literally 2 weeks later, he sees me at home. He was like, he asked you, what happened to your job? I was like, oh, I left. but but the other end of that story was I worked about 6 shifts. And I enjoyed it. It was okay. But I
Yeah.
think the shift that made me stop was that I remember I had a 6 a.m. shift, 6 a.m. start. I was working at Twickenham Stadium, and it was
Okay.
there's the monster drink.
Yeah.
Like that exhibition. So I was
Uh-huh.
in charge of the cloakroom. And I got
Okay.
there at 6 a.m. The shift was a 12-hour shift, so from 6 to 6 p.m. And I was sitting there. There was no heating in there. I was freezing. I had to wear a jacket in the room because it was that cold. And I was literally there all day from 6 till 6 p.m. I had like 30-minute break in between, so that was my only break for the whole day. I got the bus home, and I remember I was so ill. Like the next day, I didn't like leave my bed because I felt like I was just so cold in there. I was so ill. Then at the end of the month, when I came to get paid, I even got paid under. And in my mind, I thought at the time I'm selling t-shirts for £15, £20. I'd rather work on myself and sell my t-shirts. Because if I sold like 2 or 3 or 4, I could have
Mm.
made what I made in that whole 12 hours in
Yeah.
the job. That was my mindset at the time. So I thought, I'd rather get paid, which is what let's go out now, that you want to get paid for your value, which is what you do. You get paid to train people. You want to get paid for your value as opposed to your time. I feel like that was a
Mm.
very early lesson on that I don't understand at the time, but now looking back at it, it was a key life lesson of that. I learned as an 18-year-old boy to get paid for my value as opposed to
Mm.
get paid for my time. And I made a decision so that I don't want to work that job anymore because I want to rather get paid for my clothing, for my value, as opposed to get paid for my time.
Yeah. Okay. And how did your Gen Z company come about? Because that came about a little bit later on. So how did that happen?
Um, Funny thing about me is that I with my business, it's never like a story of like, and I wish I had it. I wish I had the idea of like, I saw a gap in the market and I just did that. It's never like that. A lot of things just happen by accident. So
Okay.
with the Gen Z Club, it happened kind of by accident in the sense that I had my fashion brand at the time. It was growing, and I had a somewhat of a small personal brand for myself based on the fashion brand, the GQ features, the awards, etc. So I thought I want to grow my personal brand to another level. Obviously, you see me on LinkedIn. I want to one of my idols is a man called Gary Vee. So I understand how important a personal brand can be. So I thought it's time to grow it. Let me grow a personal brand. So during lockdown, TikTok was like the sensation, and everybody was going famous. Like even my co-founder, name's Pokerbank, he's got about 300K on TikTok through lockdown doing personal finance. So so that and he caught that wave of like TikTok on lockdown. I felt as though I missed it. So we got to 2021 now. And you can still go on TikTok, of course, now, but like there was a real way. But if you're consistent, and you
Yeah.
like back then, like right now, if you want to do on TikTok, you want good editing, all etc. Back then, you could be a bit dodgy the editing, but still do okay. So he rode that wave, and I'm very very happy for him. But I was like, oh damn, like I missed it. And ended up for Gary Vee knows that he was going on about TikTok. He was like, use TikTok, do TikTok, and I just didn't listen, so I missed it. But I thought, cool, Clubhouse is the next wave. That's kind of I'm not sure you remember Clubhouse.
No, I didn't actually. So what's Clubhouse?
It
Is
was
that
an app
another?
that had a very, very short life. So like during lockdown, there was an app called Clubhouse, which is like an audio podcast. So it's
Okay.
like it was like you're able to join. It's like Twitter. You got
Yeah.
spaces.
Yeah.
Twitter copy spaces from Clubhouse.
Okay. Okay.
So that's actually what Clubhouse was. It was spaces before spaces. So it was literally his own app
Mm.
where like you're in a room, people are talking on stage, you're listening, etc. So I
Yeah. Yeah.
thought, Ivy's like, guys, all you guys that miss out on TikTok, Clubhouse a new wave, get on there. I was like, you ain't got to tell me twice. So I've learned my lesson. So I got on there. But one thing I learned in life was that if you can do something, yeah, you got to be consistent. And I was
Mm.
like, and that's one motto I live by is that do it consistently or don't do it all. So I said, if
Yeah.
I'm going to go in Clubhouse here and build my brand, I can't just be on there 1 week and then never go on there again. I need to be, talking, giving value every single week at least. So I said, who can I give value with on a regular basis? And I came across my co-founder, who's now my co-founder now, Denzel Jones. He was doing Clubhouse rooms at the time. I said to him, let's do it together. Let's do a Clubhouse room every single week. So
Mm.
so we start in January and we'll do like clubhouse rooms on topics. So what we'll announce to our audience that we're doing a similar to you, we're doing like a clubhouse room at Thursday, 8 p.m. Come join and come listen. I think the first week was like Gen Z and property. So he's got property background. So he literally so we got these guest speakers in property, like all sorts of these massive names in property. Because it started off with a couple of people where people join, because obviously it's the public. So
Yeah.
they'll see the title Gen Z property. So like a millionaire investor will just join the call just to see what's going on. Then he'll actually end up seeing on stage. So we end up having like 100 people in our room just listen to us talk about property in our first
Mm.
room. We were like, wow, like we're famous. Like we got all these people listen to us talk about property and all the guest speakers. Let's keep doing it. So literally every single week for about 6 months, we did a clubhouse room every single
Wow.
week without fail. So from January to May, we just did clubhouse rooms. Every single week will be a new topic. So it'll be like
Mm.
next week's topic is this, next week's topic is this. So it'll be like Gen Z and entrepreneurship, Gen Z mental health, or be like why can't Gen Z get jobs? 500K cash or you're the person your choice. It'll just be debates on Clubhouse, literally just Clubhouse debates about these topics. Some weeks will get 80 people, some weeks will get like 10 people, but we're just consistent. And one thing
Mm.
I say is that the same energy I gave the 10 people, I still gave to the 80 people. I didn't
Yeah.
decline the value just because there's less people listening. I think that's a
Yeah.
really, really important lesson. Even a funny story within that as well was that during our I say between January and April, very, very popular. And my friend, the co-founder Denzel, he actually got in trouble with a girl's boyfriend because he saw her. He told me. I thought it was funny. He was out on a night out in university because I went to university. I graduated last year, and he said I was out with his friends at university, and then a boy came up to him and said, I've got a problem with you," and he was like, "Why? Like, what did I do?" He goes, "Every single week at 8 p.m. on Thursday, my girlfriend hangs up the FaceTime with me to join your clubhouse rooms." So we were kind of like getting in the way of people's relationship because our clubhouse rooms. But obviously it was light-hearted banter, but I just thought it was
Yeah.
quite funny.
Yeah.
But after that, we thought, cool, clubhouse is dying down a bit now. We've got this community that we've been building on Clubhouse.
Mm.
I've been to network events since I was 18 years old. I just thought,
Wow.
how my brain works. Let's just do an event. It'll be fun to do a network event. So we did our third networking event in August 2021, and we sold out in 2 hours. We sold out in our first 2 hours.
Wow.
So we were like, wow, like, you know, this is crazy. Like, and I feel like that event has 75 people. I've done events with over 500 people. But I feel like that one there still means the most to me. The first event we did, I feel like when I look back, it's still like a, you know, big moment in my life. And yes, we did that event. Sold out. So we thought, you know what, let's do another one. We did another one in Nottingham, in my co-founded university late that year in November. Sold out again. He said, okay, if you're enjoying it, there's another one. There's another one in January, 2022. So 2022 last year, sold out again for 150 people, to the point where we could have sold more. People trying to resell our tickets on reseller platforms. You know, you get like night shoes, you try to resell night shoes. People trying to resell our tickets to make a profit of it. That's how much demand there was for these events. And then we said, back to my lesson, consistency or not at all. I said, guys, listen, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do an event every single month. So from January 2022 to December 2022, we did at least one event every single month across the whole UK, and then the rest is history, I guess.
What kind of that's incredible. What kind of investments did you need up front? Did you have to invest a lot of money, or was it more time, or was it more any courses or anything like that? What was that investment plan like?
It's a really good question. So I can answer two ways. The first one is the open way is none. It was bootstrapped. So the Gen Z Club was complete bootstrapped. So we didn't take any investment. We sold tickets to the event. So we literally would use the money we got from the tickets to pay for the venue. So the venue would be like maybe like $1,000. This is where it gets a bit better. So at first we'll pay for the venue. So we're like 1K for the venue, and we use the ticket sales to cover that, and then make a little bit of profit on top. But obviously profit wouldn't be that much because the costs are so big. But then when we got to around February, I got a DM from a lady who works in a company called I'm gonna shout out, she's been lovely to me, Alex Young. She worked at a company called X and Y. And they wanted to work with more Gen Zs, and obviously the Gen Z audience. And she said, by working with us, we are technically helping Gen Zs. Because if you're helping Gen Zs and we're helping you, then we're helping Gen Zs. So we can put on our website that we're helping Gen Zs. And they were a company like a WeWork. They were a co-working space. They had loads of venues across the whole UK. So they were like, what would you guys want from us? I was like, I want free venue and like an office space. So and they gave it to us. So once a week we had our own little meeting room in their venue, one of their venues, and we had free venues for our events. So we literally did all our events here with no venue cost. So everything we made from tickets here was all profit. So that's kind of answers that, which is why like we didn't really need that much investment because the costs weren't that high because we're making money from tickets to cover venues, or we got a free venue. I think the only cost that we did do very early on was you know, you're big on marketing, I'm big on social media. So we did so out of our own pockets for maybe the first like 6 months, we paid a graphic designer and just so we content on the page. But when we got the point to start making a bit more money, we were able to start paying it from the business profits. And then a pivotal moment happened when I was in school, in university. I spoke to my one of my mentors at university. I said to him that this is good, making some money from events. You know, you're making, so if you said 20 pound tickets, 100 people, that's like 2K. So it's okay. It's okay, but it's like I'm at my last year of university now. I'm thinking I want to go for entrepreneurship. If there's 3 of us, we can't 2K event isn't really enough kind of thing. So he said to me, sell your audience. There's a lot of companies out there that'll pay a lot of money for access to your audience. He said that, you know, that like more, you know, massive companies that, you know, I've worked with now and would pay a lot of money for your audience. So then we still had the event profit, but now the pivot came towards more send the audience, like, you know, research, sponsorship, etc. That's kind of where, you know, we generated a lot more money doing that. So it was all bootstrapped, so it's all no investment whatsoever. And I don't think I'll ever take. I've got a consultant now. I've got a business consultant, and I would take investment if it was needed. So we're speaking about, you know, get like a brick and mortar, like a solo house. So like the Gen Z Club actually being like a club. It's like a networking 24/7 in a building. We're thinking about building an app. I'll get investment for that. But the way I look at investment now is the fact that I can get investment money from one good brand deal. So which is why I'm not really too interested in doing that right now because there's no need. And I feel like one thing I learned from people is that don't get investment in something if you don't know what you're going to use it for. You know what I'm saying? Don't dilute your company if you don't know what the money's going to be used for. And right now, I don't need investment. That makes sense.
So all of this started really from like community building and engagement, and it's just kind of spiraled from that.
But one character that's really, really, really important to add here is that I started my fashion brand when I was 18. So I had a lot of
Okay.
knowledge. So when you mentioned courses, I did a lot of courses.
Okay.
One that I haven't mentioned is I've read over 50 books. I'm a massive book reader. So a lot of the skills, so I feel like it's the best learning. Like you can do a
Yeah.
course, you can read a book, but the fact that I had a business for my fashion brand, which, I made so many mistakes. I was an 18-year-old boy trying to grow a brand. I was doing all sorts of stupid stuff. I never did a business degree. So like, I always say Gen Z Club wouldn't be where it was today without my brand, because all the mistakes I made in my brand, I put behind Gen Z Club. So when you ask you what course I did the best course ever. I was actually in the thick and the mud of building a business, so that I already had some acumen already just from my own experiences. So I knew how to manage the money better, the cash flow, etc. So that's
I
kind
was
of
gonna
like, I think the
say,
best
like,
was that.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, what inspires you, like what motivates you, and I was gonna ask if there's any books or any, YouTube or anything that you watch. What inspires you? Some people have a business mentor. I mean, I had to go down the route of using one myself, but what keeps you going?
And I would advise that. I advise him as a mentor heavily. I think since working with my consultant, he's taken our business to a whole new level. And I think that I honestly think that you won't really get to where you want to get to without a consultant at this point. I feel like it's people that
Okay.
I feel like whatever you're building is people that have done that already. If that makes sense. So
Yeah.
like, and even work with him is that he's done it already. So all the mistakes I'm going to make, he's preventing me from making them because he's been there already. So I feel like a consultant, if you can find a good one or a mentor, it's a cheat code because they've been to where you're trying to get to. You see, if that makes
Mm,
sense. So I think
yeah.
100% people should always looking to get a mentor or consultant. And I mentioned that, it was me going to my mentor at university that gave me the idea of selling my audience. It wasn't for
Yeah.
him that I never would have crossed that, or taking me maybe another 2 years, maybe. So I think, what was the question again, sorry?
Just like what inspires
Oh,
you, and
inspiring.
like,
Yeah,
obviously people use a business mentor, as you've just mentioned,
yeah.
but you mentioned some books or YouTube videos. Do you do all of that? Like, what is it that keeps you motivated? Because you said consistency is important, which it is, but sometimes things can happen. It's like, oh, I've got to keep going. Like, what encourages you? What keeps you going? What
I think
inspires you?
when I was younger, I needed maybe motivation, but I feel like now, me and my purpose and my work has become like part of me. So like, it's literally just like all together. Like growing up, I'd say that what inspired me to, maybe be successful or leave an impact was a couple of things, many things actually. I think it's not just one thing. I'd say one avenue is definitely my dad. My dad grew up in my dad and his brothers grew up in very, very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Also my dad was one of 8 siblings. He grew up in extreme poverty, like not poverty that you might get in the UK, but grew up in, poverty like Nigeria,
Yeah.
in a very small village, like one bedroom between like 8 people,
Yeah.
having to share a cup of tea. Like, like I've been back there myself. So I've been back to the village he grew up in myself.
Mm.
I give away t-shirts there. Um, and him bringing me back there to see that kind of thing was powerful. I still remember, like, I bought t-shirts back there, and I can show you guys videos, but people were fighting over a t-shirt. And this wasn't any designer t-shirt. This was just like an old t-shirt. Like what we'll do, we'll get people and friends and family to give us clothing to go back there. So we'll go there. And I'm literally, bear in mind, I grew up in London my whole life. So like, you might see things on TV, but when you're actually in a 12-year-old, when I went 12, 13-year-old boy, and I'm seeing kids similar age to me fighting over a t-shirt, it changes your brain in so many ways. And then I'm seeing like niece and nephews, like the uncle's like 2 years older than his niece. It's like what? Like,
Yeah.
so I think experiencing that at a young age made me realize, one, give me a lot of gratitude, but also that a lot of people that I want to help. And I feel like seeing what my dad's done, where he's come from and to where he is now, it's like, if he can do that, then there's literally no excuse for me, because I've got a much better upbringing than what he had. And so I
Yeah.
should, even if I should even do more than what he's done, kind of thing. So I think that's one aspect of things. I think another aspect is the fact that I enjoy helping people, I enjoy leaving the impacts. I think it's important to, leave a legacy.
Mm.
One thing that I learned when I was in school, I studied a course called Philosophy and Ethics. And one thing I mentioned my teacher said to me, which I've never forgotten, was that this is philosophical, this is true. When you die, and everyone that knows you dies, or be like you never existed. Because I've died, you're gonna pass away one day. Everyone has to see my face is gonna pass away one day. All my Instagram followers, my LinkedIn followers, they're all gonna pass away one day. So
Yeah.
then when I die and everyone that knows me has also passed away, I didn't exist technically. Because I
Mhm.
didn't exist because like everyone that's ever known me has passed away. So I
Mhm.
technically didn't exist. I feel like
Mhm.
when I heard that, I was like, that's crazy. I was like, that can't happen to me. So he said, unless you're like, really impactful or like really famous, over time, everyone knows who's gonna pass away and you don't really exist, kind of thing. I was like, that's really, really deep. So I thought,
Wow.
I definitely want to leave a legacy just so like I'm not forgotten. And I think the final thing is probably just regret. I think that I want to really, I feel like we all have goals. Like no matter who we are, we all have goals that, that we look at in the morning and all things we want to achieve. And it's like, we're only here once. It's like, I want to get everything out of life that I want to get. And because like, why should I wait? Why should I, whatever kind of opinion? So I think a big thing for me is just regret. Like I want to get everything. Like I know what I want in life here. And I want to get all of it. Like I want to like squeeze all of the juice out of it as possible. And I feel like if I don't do that, I'll be so regretful. So I think what drives me every single day is the fact that I haven't got to where I want to be yet. And if I don't get there, I'm gonna be very, very regretful for not getting there. So like I need to kind of get there. So I think that's a big thing for me on a daily basis, I'd say.
That is a great way to think. I mean, did you because you sound like really confident and like you've just gone for these things, but a lot of things that people, our audience, and a lot of the questions that they write in about is always about fear and self-doubt and how to overcome that. Did you experience any fear, like going into your own business or, later on in your business as you were growing or when you were trying something new? Did you experience any fear or self-doubt? And if you did, how did you like overcome it?
Every day, I still do to this day. Like every single day, I think like emotions are there like for a reason. Like I think people look at people that are fearless and think they don't experience fear. Everyone's experience. That's not saying I don't experience happiness or sadness or laughter. It's a fundamental human emotion. Fear is there to protect us from, maybe back in the day, animals. Like fear is a fundamental thing. So the difference is between we all have fear. Some of us just don't listen to it. I think that with me, I'm very mindful because I understand that, as you mentioned, I'm naturally a confident person. So I'm very mindful of the fact that not everyone has that in them kind of thing. So when I answer these questions, I try to look at it from like a outsider's point of view. I think with myself personally, I was just naturally, because maybe I got 2 learning disabilities. So I think a big aspect was me that I was just used to being different. Like I talk very, very fast. I struggle to read. Like I'm very forgetful. I'm different. So my whole life I was called like weird or like like or Austin can't speak properly, etc. So I feel like I dealt with a lot of things from an early age. And I think that can send you 2 places. I make you really insecure or really like, I don't care what anyone thinks anymore because you're already giving me an opinion anyway. I don't care, but you're gonna do what I want. I think that I kind of went the other way. The point was like, I'm just gonna do what makes you happy. Like, I'm just gonna focus on myself kind of thing. Because everyone's already got their opinions. I can't change these things. Let me just like, and also I think it's an aspect of like, have you ever been in a situation where like you're doing the dishes and someone says to you, do the dishes, and I don't do it anymore? Because like you're doing it anyway, and they come over. It's a bit like that. Where it's
All the
like,
time.
yeah,
I can give a few examples.
exactly.
But
Because
yeah.
like I'm competitive and very stubborn. So that when I've got like a hater or fear or whatever, it makes me want to do it even more. Because now like you frustrated me, it's like I'll feel as though if I didn't do something because of your opinion, I've lost. That's how my mind works. Like you somehow give me your opinion, and that's made me stop doing something that I love. Like I've lost. I feel like from a young age, I was at an angle of like I will never let anybody control my life ever. Like if I want to do something, I want to start a brand, and you're stopping me from doing it because of an opinion, I feel so small. I'm like, I'm letting your opinion affect me how I live my life. I said to you, like, big for me is regret. And I remember like back in the days, Snapchat like the app Snapchat. Back in the day, people used to tell me I post much on my story. That used to make me want to post more. I supposed to put it because when people tell me you post much on your story, that made me want to post more because like you don't tell me what to do with my Snapchat. I always said that you can delete me, it's fine, but you're not gonna make me post less when I want to post more. That makes sense. So if anything, you telling me I post too much made me want to post more. I think that's I think that's a fundamental mindset I've always had, where it's like you can't dictate my life. So when it came to building a business, the reason I was able to overcome fear is because I'm not gonna let you dictate my life. I'm not let the fear of you laughing at me or you or your failure make me stop, because now you've won. And I feel like, of course, being young, starting a business at a young age, people said, "What are you doing?" People laughed at me, people mocked me. But if anything, that made me want to go even harder. And even now, sometimes I kind of miss that a little bit. I kind of enjoy, like, I kind of want a little bit of that. I kind of want to say to Austin, like, you're just a mess or something like that, just so I can, like, that motivates, that drives me. Like, I play football. When I say football, and the other players just call me a bad player, I used to put in the best performance ever because, like, oh, I'm bad. Cool, let's go.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the mindset I've always had.
Wow. Okay. And have you ever had going through your setting up your businesses to where you are now? Have you ever had any big challenges that you've had to overcome? Can you give us
Yeah,
like some examples?
Massive. So I think the best song I can give is probably my fashion brands. So during COVID, I was like 19, 20 at the time. I shared the story a couple times before. 2020 was probably the most difficult time I've ever had in my life. Like, it was so difficult for many reasons. So first one was my fashion brand at the time, and anyone that's bought a fashion brand knows about like the hardest part of it is the manufacturing and the time. Like even now, I had an order come in, like they ordered my parcel to the wrong house. Like how do you even do that? So now I had to chase up, and it's so frustrating because like I'm not living there. All I can do is just wait in limbo, and I can call the service, you get put on hold. It's just frustrating. So that's probably the worst aspect of a brand, hands down. Like everyone goes through it. So at the time, during COVID, one of my brands shut down because of COVID. They couldn't deal. So I thought, cool, I just found another manufacturer. At this point, I won an award, so I got money from my award, and I took out a 5K loan as well to basically fund my new collection. Because I got like a graphic designer, everything in. So basically, it was a really cool company. They were called Fashion Angels. So it was like a hard loan. It was like a no interest loan. Basically, you apply, if they believe in your business, they see like the growth of it, they'll give you 5K, which you don't have to pay back basically. So it's a really great company called Fashion Angels. I don't know if they're still doing it, but that's kind of what I was working. And they give you like a mentor for a year as well, which is cool. So I got that. So like, yes, cool. Like, let's take off. You know, I won my award. I got the funding. I got a bigger team. Let's get to work. So I remember I found a manufacturer. I said to him, "This is the clothing. Can you make it?" He goes, "Yes, all great." I paid whatever I paid. I think I paid all up front, which is cheaper. You should pay it always half and half. But yeah, so he told me in May, this is all good. It'll take about 6 weeks to make. We'll be done in time for summer. All good. At the time, you know, difficult time for me personally. So like my uncle passed away on my birthday that year, which was devastating. And one of my friends was actually murdered that I went to school with as well. And then within that was like just this period where like this brand that I'd built, I had no clothing because I literally, it was basically like the big rebrand. Like I got the funding, got a bigger team, got new designers. Like all the clothing that I made him make was literally a whole new look. And all the other clothing I had before were kind of like just getting kind of disposed of kind of thing. So I had no clothing. So I literally waiting on him. But I thought, cool, 6 weeks is a good time. I'll do some promo in between. 6 weeks came, no update. Then so that's now we're in the end of June. July comes, still not here. August comes, still not here. September comes, still not here. October comes, still not here. So within that, so between May and October, that's around 5 months. I had zero stock. And it's just deeper than, so obviously financially, you know, I wasn't making any money because I couldn't sell any clothing. You know, business to me and you is like, it's like our baby, like we enjoy it. It's my passion, like my blood. So now I've got no business for 5 months. I've got customers asking me, where's the clothing, what's going on? I'm not trying to tell them that, oh yeah, like it's stuck in Asia somewhere. Like, so like it's coming. And the worst thing is he would tell me that, oh, another week, another 2 weeks. So I would spend money on like models, photo shoots, etc. I book studios and thinking that's in the coming time, just so when it does land, we can go straight away. It wouldn't come. I wasted so much money on market materials, thinking that would come. I remember one time I bought like an Airbnb to do the photo shooting, and it was even a quite expensive one. And I was at university at the time, the clothing didn't come in time, but obviously you already booked the Airbnb. I just gave it to my friends and said, guys, just enjoy it. Because I was in Brighton, I was in London. I said, I'm not going to drive away from London. And I was literally seeing people take pictures in my Airbnb that I booked as if, you know, but like, I just said, guys, go enjoy yourself in the Airbnb. I didn't even use it. I just wasted so much money, and it was just difficult for me from so many levels. But I said that was the biggest challenge that I've had, but eventually the clothing came in October. So end of October, clothing finally came, and I was so desperate for the clothing that usually when you get clothing come in from another country, it has to go through customs. But like if you really want something, you're able to go to customs and get directly. So I literally drove the customs. It was like some James Bond stuff. Like I literally drove the customs, picked up my package directly from the airport, and brought it home. And then I remember sitting in my car thinking, finally, like I was just so like relieved that it's finally come to an end because it's such a difficult moment. And then we released it, and I remember that month I made more money in that first month than I probably made throughout the whole company. Like just because like it was a new collection, everything market was good, and then from there that's when it actually became a proper like business. We were making, you know, good money every single month. That's when the British GQ feature came straight after that. So the collection was that nice. That's when we started selling all across Europe. So I started selling in you know, Romania, America. I started getting, you know, more recognition around Europe. So that was a really difficult moment for me. But I feel like that's my biggest challenge I faced. I feel like overcoming that now. has allowed me to overcome challenges like I still face to this day. There's challenges every single day, but I feel like because I got through that period there, it's like it's gonna be hard to top that period. If that makes sense. I feel like I
Yeah.
was 20 years old, 20 years old, like I was a baby, but to go through that at such a young age is definitely harder than me, which I need to go through.
And giving up was not an option for you, giving up and then just going in full-time employment?
No, but at the time I was at university as well.
Oh,
I was at
okay, okay. So it was, you know, you weren't gonna give up, it wasn't an option.
Yeah, and also I feel like I read a book on this. It was called what's it called? Unsexy Business. And we
Okay.
said one of the traits you see in successful founders is when they've got something in it that like you need a why. Obviously, a big why. Yeah, you need a why for stocks. Like whether that's impact, legacy. But when you've got a why that's directly correlated to like your ego, your business, it has effects. So in his book, he mentioned stories about how people have gotten mortgages for their business, so that when you've taken out a mortgage for your business, you can't really quit because you sold your house for this business. So that's helped. I thought with me because this brand was kind of like me. I was known as Mr. Bonus Stand Up, Mr. BTSO. I won awards. I was doing content of it. I couldn't really just quit because like people messaged me saying, Austin, what's happened? Like I couldn't, my whole brand was tied to this business. So that quitting wasn't an option because like one, it's my baby. I was enjoying it. And number two is like I would have to deal with a lot more stuff
Yeah.
if I did quit. So
Do you
yeah, I was
know?
too deep in. Too deep
Yeah,
in.
yeah, I was just gonna say, because it's like you saying the why. Every entrepreneur that I've had on this show have said how important that is,
Mm.
knowing the why you're doing it. And I didn't realize that before, but it's every single one that I've spoken to have said that why is really important. It's what keeps you going.
It's
And
fundamental.
mm,
I think the first, like, you know, I started entrepreneur at a young age, and when I was 18 years old, I was a sponge information. I was a massive sponge, and
yeah,
I'm going to these events now. And the first thing he said to me is, "Find your why, find your why, find your why." Because he said
yeah,
to me, "Money is not good enough. Why? Because money will come. So what's gonna motivate you after that?" Like Mark Zuckerberg still probably wakes up 8 hours a day, does Facebook. If it was money that motivated him, he would have left a long time ago. I said that money isn't gonna be enough yet when what I went through to kind of wake me up and maybe keep going. So you find a why that is so strong that no matter what you go through, like whether it's a family member, whether it's your legacy or impact, when you've got that, when you've got something bigger than you, and it could be outside of you, when you've got something bigger than you driving you, you can't stop. It's like, for example, if I would hate to say something like this now, but if I say something like, someone might pass away if you don't run that marathon, you're gonna run that marathon,
mm,
100%. It's similar to
yeah,
business. When you've got a thing bigger than you, like you're not even just doing it for yourself no more. You're doing it for a family member, your impact, your legacy. Who cares you're upset or you're sad that day or you're a bit tired? Because it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the impact, about legacy, about all this other stuff. So that's really important.
incredible, incredible. And okay, so how did you know that this was the right path for you? You're on this path now. How do you know that it's right? Is it a feeling, or how do you know this is the right path?
I don't know. I don't think it matters if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I think sometimes how I look at these questions now is the fact that it might not be. I'm on this path now. I have no clue where I'll be in a year's time or whatever. And I think a big fat thing that people do, which is wrong, I feel like they put themselves into a box.
Mm,
And then when another opportunity might come next year, I might be like, oh, I can't do that because I've already said I'm CEO of the Gen Z Club, even though that would be happier. So when it comes to
mm,
being the right path, right now I'm enjoying it. It feels good right now. But like I can't sit and say, and I never wanted to do that with anything I do in my life. This is my path, whatever, because
and
in
that's
a year's
it.
time, things might change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
things might change. I might get a family, I might have other interests. So why would I put myself in that box? So I
Mm,
think people are just trying to find this shining light in the sky of like this is your path, but you'll never have
yeah.
that. What you want to do is fluid to new opportunities and new horizons. That way you're not too stagnant in anything. And that
Mm,
way you're not too rigid. That gives you flexibility to do new things. So I think right now it feels like the right path because I'm enjoying it.
yeah.
It's making me happy. So that's why I say it's the right path because it makes you happy. I'm impacting
Okay.
people, makes you happy. But that's not to say that it might change in a year's time. I might find another path here that makes you even more happier. So that's what I look.
Mm,
I feel like
yeah.
people will be happier if rather than trying to put themselves into a box of like, this is my cool, this is my path. Just like right now in this present moment, I'm enjoying this moment. that might change. If it does change, amazing. That's fine.
Yeah, no, definitely. Mine changed. I just pursued whatever was pulling me. You know, it changed from marketing to now something completely different. So I do agree with that.
And it might change again. It might change again.
It might change again.
Yeah,
Please
which is
no,
fine.
please no. Too much change. Okay, so last question. It's a two-part question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people who are thinking about starting a business? And then what advice would you give to people who want to do what it is that you do? If we look at kind of the clothing range and then Gen Z separately, what advice would you give to people that want to start their own business in anything in
Yeah.
general, and then doing what it is that you do?
I'd say, first of all, why do you want to start a business? I think it's really important. I think we live in a time now where like entrepreneurship has become cool.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, cool, like he's a CEO, like, you know, entrepreneur my bio. So I think what I say is, do you really want to be an entrepreneur, or do you just have entrepreneurial tendencies? Like, could you get like, are you someone that values stability? Because if entrepreneurship, stability isn't always like. I was even talking to my mentor. He's run a business of like 33, ended up doing 33 million in revenue, and we sold it on now. And he's one of my consultants. And I was talking to him about like, you know, like he had a team of 50 people. He said that there's times where like he couldn't cover their payroll. He said that there was one time, really interesting story about how there was a Christmas they had, and before Christmas they had like so much like debt to cover for their salaries, and he couldn't do it. But like luckily, like even like the um last week they got the money from like unpaid invoices and paid everybody. But it was literally like, it was so close right before Christmas. He even talked to me about how like he didn't pay himself as a founder of a £1 million company for about 6 months because his company needed the money. So it's like, obviously you can find stability in entrepreneurship, but it's a bit less likely. Whereas in your job, so if you value stability, you know, like understand that I think most important tip is self-awareness. What do you actually want? What do you enjoy? I think that if your why to be entrepreneur is because your friends might look at you more or you think it's cool, that's not good enough why. Your why needs to be something that self-aware. What do I need in my life? What reason do I want to be entrepreneur? Like, what is the actual reason? Like, what is the reason I want to be entrepreneur? And is this the best vehicle for that? So if your why is because you want to give back to people, there's many ways you can give back to people. There's many vehicles you can choose. So I'd say first of all, think about, because the fact that you haven't started yet means that you're still thinking about whether it's the right path for you. So I think about whether or not, listen to these podcasts, think about pros and cons, and think about, you know, is this really the vehicle that I think, based on my self-awareness, is best for me? And you might not be sure, then start it. So I say the next step is just start it and find out. Then be honest with yourself. Be like, you know what? Yeah, I've given it a go. It's not for me. I've done many things I've given a go that weren't for me, like that I've moved away from. So I think that, you know, think about the vehicle. Do you need this vehicle? If you're still unsure, I say go for it. Start it. If it makes you happy, keep going. If you find that, you know, it's not for you, be honest with yourself. Think about yourself, and then kind of find other ways to, you know, express the vehicle. Because at least now, yeah, you know what you don't like. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And what about people who want to do exactly what it is that you do, from the clothing line and then the Gen Z business?
I'd say definitely think about what value you can provide and whether people want that value. So from a Gen Z club basis, I know what I'm providing my customers. I'm providing them, you know, networking experience to connect with like-minded people. I'm allowing them to connect with companies that you might not have access to or difficult to have access to. Like, you know, Barclays are literally gonna be right there. Go and talk to them at our events. So I'm bridging the gap between that and connect people together. From the company's point of view, I'm helping them attract Gen Zs. I'm helping them get to Gen Zs. So I know what value I'm providing. So I think that find what value you're providing. I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs, might feel like, they might think it's a good idea, but it's only a good idea in their head. Like, it's not actually a problem. And I was talking to one that I'm unsure the other day. He wanted some advice on he wanted to start like a music business, and it was his business idea was that he wanted to give football clubs their own independent artists. So you want to basically get an artist who's talented that needs more exposure, make him like the Arsenal FC artist, and then that's his business model. But I said to him, and you know, I never told anyone bad idea or not. I just ask questions. I think that's really important. Never told anybody what's good or bad, because you never know. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know, and I'll never say that's a bad idea, because you might start it might go to £1 billion. But I just asked them a question. I said, okay, cool. So what value are Arsenal getting? They were like, oh, they get to have their own independent artists, but because right now they go to like the Stormzy's or whatever. I said, do you think there's a reason why they're good at Stormzy? Because obviously, like,
Mm.
he's Stormzy, he's got a big brand, like, looks better for them. He goes, yeah, you know what? They probably do have a reason. And I was like, do you think that making them pick some artists from Brixton, do you not think there's a value exchange wise, like, he's getting a lot more out of it than Arsenal is, kind of thing? He's like, yeah, no, you're right. I'm like, so when there's like, when there's values that off, you can't really make much money, because usually money associated with pain points. The pain point isn't that big, then the money associated, it won't be that good either.
Yeah.
And how you can convince Arsenal to pick the random person. Also said that you think he's good, but I think good is subjective. You know what I'm saying? Like, he said that there's artists on SoundCloud that should get more views. I said, who's the judge of that? You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe in your subjective opinion, he's getting low views because you think he's good, but I can make a case for artists getting 1 million views. He's clearly good because he's getting 1 million views, so it's subjective. So who are you to say that he deserves to get that attention based off your subjective opinion? I think it's not for Arsenal to go to an artist who's already resonated with the audience than to go to somebody that's struggling to do that. Not because he's bad, because like the evidence has shown me that he's maybe a bit better. So I don't say he's bad or wrong, but I feel like people forget mixed personal preferences with value. I feel like when you ask on a business with a clothing line, whether it's a community like mine, what value are you actually offering? And is the value that you are offering something that you personally want, or a value that, or your personal subjective opinion, or is it something that people pay money for? And how you find that out is you can ask questions, but also, as I mentioned, you start in it, and see whether or not there is a market for it. But just thinking logically about, take myself out of the equation. There's things that I do for Gen Z Couple, my brand, that I might not want to do, but I know that it's what my audience wants, and you got to give your audience what they want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They're the ones paying you.
Is it hard logistically and like to find the right manufacturers and stuff like that when you were starting like your clothing line? Is that the hardest bit?
Yeah, I see that was very difficult finding a good manufacturer. And the best advice I can give that is many things. So referrals. Who I feel like with me, a lot of people go to me now to make their clothing because I found a good one. So find someone that's obviously, if someone's got a brand that's doing well and they get clothing on a regular basis, odds are that they got a good manufacturer. So you can ask them, you can maybe pay them to give it to you. So I think that's one tip. If I was to start now, I'll just go to someone that I know already got a manufacturer, because he's clearly, rather than trying to plan it yourself, because he would know. That's what I'm saying. That's why mentors are so important, because they've been there. So like, rather than trying to figure it out, make all the mistakes of going to my manufacturer, Austin's here. Austin, can I use yours? I'm gonna say yes or no. But then I say no or whatever. Another brand, they'll say no. Another brand, that's live. You might get 10 no's, but you need one yes. And that's the first step, the referrals. The second one would be trial and error. That's what happens. Like, you literally got trial and error. I'll say don't buy it in big bulk. I say just buy one sample first, test the quality, then get another one. Like we save money. But a big thing is literally trial and error. Like anything in life. Like, you work with agencies, you work with brands. Some agencies will be good, some won't. You know what I'm saying? Some manufacturers will be good, some won't. Like anything in life you do, when you pay money for, like, you're literally banking on them. So a lot of it is trial and error. So I'm pretty sure most people work with many agencies before they get to the right one. That's just business for you. So I think a big factor is just trial and error, and eventually, if you throw enough things at the wall, something will stick.
Yeah. Look, you have been incredible. Thank you so much. You've answered all of our questions. You've been vulnerable, so I really appreciate it. You have been fantastic. So thank you so much for coming on to this podcast. Our audience
No, I
will
really
love it.
enjoyed my time. You were a great host, honestly. I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.